The last thing the Xanthari Council expected was for Earth to respond. The transmission had been marked low priority. A backwater conflict. A distress call from a fringe alliance colony under fire. Standard piracy, really. Nothing serious. Nothing worth involving Terrans, until Earth answered. It started with a message. No encryption. No formal greeting. No political signature. Just a line of voice across the dark, relayed through 12 defense satellites like a ghost slipping through mirrors. Request received. Backup en route. Hold the line. That was it. No fleet manifest. No diplomatic preamble. Just a calm human voice and a time stamp. Counselor Virak laughed in the chamber. Earth? Responding to a minor skirmish? They barely attend peace summits. Another diplomat chuckled. Let them send a frigate or two. It'll make for good footage. But Ambassador Yali of the Centauri Alliance didn't laugh. She was from the outer rings, grew up hearing stories of what Earth called Deathworlders. Not stories of armies. Stories of individuals. Humans who didn't die when they should have. Who kept fighting after the body stopped working right. Who smiled at impossible odds and called it even. Have we confirmed who made the call? Yali asked. A junior officer checked his data slate. Colony code 91D, he said. Civilian agricultural base, only 38 humans there. Then they shouldn't have responded, Virak muttered. They don't have the numbers. Exactly, Yali said, almost whispering. Which means they're sending something else. She wasn't wrong. 2 hours later, the sky over Colony 91D turned wrong. It didn't go dark. It went silent. Not like power loss, like a pause. Above the grain fields, where 38 humans had held a line for 3 days against over 300 well-armed mercenaries, something massive arrived. No engine flare, no approach signal, just presence. A Terran vessel broke atmosphere. Not sleek, not pretty. It looked mean. Dark steel plating, exposed hull work, cannons the size of silo towers, not even firing, just watching. The enemy. Commander laughed. One ship? He hadn't seen the surface shift behind him. Because when the first ship arrived, it wasn't alone. One by one, without light, without sound, without even breaking orbit, conventionally ships dropped from nowhere. Some phased in. Some flickered like ghosts. Some unfolded from points in space that shouldn't exist. 10, 20, 30, and then 300. Each one bristling with weapon systems designed not to kill ships, but to erase histories. Some of the pirates broke ranks instantly. Others screamed into their cums. Who authorized this? Where's the council fleet? What even are those? One human soldier, posted on the colony wall, smirked. She tapped her helmet once, cinched her visor, and muttered, They asked for backup. Earth sent the Deathworlders. The Armada descended like judgment, but they didn't fire. Not yet. Instead, they broadcast a single signal. Every frequency, every channel, every dialect. We are not here to negotiate. We are not here to warn. We are not your fleet. We are your correction. The lead pirate ship turned to run. It never reached orbit. A beam soundless, colorless cut through the clouds and sliced the vessel in half without disrupting its fall velocity. No flames, no debris, just precision. The rest followed, not exploded, dismantled, piece by piece. Like Earth wasn't just winning a fight but teaching. 1. Yali watched from the council feed, jaw locked. Tell me again, she said to Virak, how many Terran war fleets still exist? Virak didn't answer. Because the truth was something no one wanted to admit. No one had seen Earth's full military might in 3 centuries. Just whispers. Rumors. Stories of soldiers who fought on fire. of ships that vanished mid-pursuit, of humans who laughed while dying and came back stronger. This wasn't Earth's Navy. This was their reminder. And that was before Earth even responded. They called it the Spectacle Fleet. That was the name. Council analysts gave the Terran warships orbiting Colony 91D an assumed display. Overkill designed to frighten pirates and send a message to minor aggressors. Except the pirates were already dead. And the fleet hadn't left. Why haven't they moved? Asked Counselor Virak, pacing the length of the chamber, claws clacking with each step. Their objective was the colony. Mission achieved. So, why are they still there? Ambassador Yali was seated across from him, eyes locked on the live orbital feed. They're not finished. With what? There's no enemy left. Yali didn't blink. That was never the real enemy. In orbit, 2 Terran warships drifted slowly apart, revealing a new ship arriving between them. Not larger, simpler. Almost. Humble. It had no visible weapons, no turrets. Just a sleek black hull and a single white emblem glowing on the side. A fist, clenched, wrapped in vines. Do you know what that symbol means? Yali asked. Virak shrugged. Primitive aggression? Yali shook her head. Reclamation. It means Earth believes something stolen is still unreturned. Virak scoffed. From pirates? They came to reclaim from mercenaries? That's the story now? No, she said. They came to demonstrate. Another ship arrived. This one different, smaller, sharper, no windows. It didn't even match known Terran designs. It hovered perfectly still, then began broadcasting. A single voice, monotone, unnatural, not human. You observed our fire. Now observe our restraint. And then the fleet powered down. Engines cold. Weapons folded into hulls. Lights dimmed. 300 Death Worlder vessels fell still like tombstones above a planet that had already been saved. Virak's brow furrowed. They're going dark? Why? That makes no sense tactically. Tactics don't matter, Yali said. Narrative. Does, he turned sharply. What are you suggesting? She gestured to the feed. The war's over. Earth already won. What's happening now isn't combat. It's storytelling. They're telling the galaxy a truth it tried to forget. In the outer systems, panic spread fast. Civilian channels lit up with images of Terran ships parked silently in orbit of abandoned council bases. No attack, no signal, just presence. One by one, ex-military stations from the colonization era began receiving pings, each with a file packet attached. Inside, video logs, grainy, time-coded, untouched. Footage from over 100 years ago. Humans being abandoned. Requests for help denied. All marked classified by Council command. Every log ended the same way. Earth remembers. On Galtris 9, a planetary trade hub 2 sectors away, Council merchants stood frozen as a single Terran corvette entered orbit without clearance, without permission, without being stopped. The orbital defense system recognized it. Somehow, weapons platforms powered down automatically. AI threat detectors returned a score of unknown, non-hostile, priority exempt. The planet's governor demanded answers. No response. Just a single transmission. They asked for backup. We arrived. Our presence is not intrusion. It is balance. The corvette left 10 minutes later. Nothing stolen. Nothing damaged. But every citizen who watched it knew something had changed. Earth didn't need permission to show up anymore. Council command scrambled. Every major strategist was summoned. Theories flew across the table like sparks. This is psychological warfare. No, it's a technological bluff. It's prelude to invasion. But no one could answer. The real question, why hadn't they fired again? because what Earth had done wasn't a demonstration of power. It was a redefinition of how power worked. They hadn't declared war. They'd changed the context of defense. Reese's retired former intelligence director, pulled from exile just hours earlier, stood slowly, brushing off his coat. 300 warships, 0 casualties, 0 demands. No retaliation, no vengeance. He let the words sit for a moment. Tell me, what kind of species responds to a low-level attack with a Death Worlder armada and then refuses to escalate? Silence. Not a conqueror, he said. Not a victim either. Kellar leaned in. Then what? A parent. Vurak's jaw dropped. You're insane. No, I'm old enough to remember, Rhesus said. When Earth fought in the last border wars, they didn't win by overwhelming force. They won by disproportionate meaning. Every human strike came with a message. Every silence came with context. He pointed to the frozen fleet above Colony 91D. This isn't a threat. This is a standard, a line. Earth's saying, if you touch one of ours, this is what comes next. Not because you matter, but because we do. He paused. And where? Done asking for permission. A new transmission. Different tone. Not the AI, not the fleet. A human voice, clear, centered, calm, spoken from the bridge of the Terran flagship, Crucible of Soul. To the Council of Systems, we answered your allies' distress call. We neutralized the threat. We made no demands. We expect no gratitude, but we will correct the precedent. The era of ignoring Death Worlders is over. From this point forward, Earth considers any attack on its people as an attack on its identity. You may proceed with your politics. We will proceed with presence. The signal cut. In 10 separate sectors, Council outposts logged a simultaneous disruption. No damage. No energy spike. Just a replacement. The words Earth responded now hovered over their local databases in every language. Some systems shut down entirely. Others initiated failsafes, unable to cope with protocols they'd never written. Across the board, a single truth was becoming clear. Earth wasn't playing the same game anymore. And the galaxy was already too late to change the rules back. Yali stared out the window, watching a Terran shadow pass over a nearby moon. They didn't come to punish us, she whispered. No? Vurak said bitterly. Then why did they come? Yali's voice was barely audible. To remind us. And far away, high above the quiet colony that started it all, 300. Ships waited, not as conquerors, not as saviors, but as the line between before and now. Terrified by Earth's passive control of galactic systems, the Council authorizes a preemptive strike on one isolated Terran vessel. But what begins as a surgical ambush unravels into an escalating, psychological collapse as they realize Death Worlders don't respond to attacks. They rewrite the terms of reality. The war room lights pulsed red dot. Council. Admiral Zale of the Zorth Armada reviewed the operation for the third time in under an hour, his spines twitching with agitation. Target: Terran vessel Nomad 6, lone. Scout-class warframe. Isolated. No support. Located near Varney's Drift. He glanced around the dark chamber. I want it destroyed. Publicly. Vurak, patched in via Hala from Central Command, squinted through the haze. You're sure this won't provoke full retaliation? We don't strike Earth, Zale snapped. We strike a stray piece of metal. It's not war. It's containment. They'll understand. Rhesus, pulled from retirement and reinstated as special analyst, said nothing for 30 seconds. Then, you don't understand Death Worlders. You never have. Zale growled. They've stayed silent for 3 days. You want to wait until they start replacing entire systems? They already are, Rhesus replied. You just don't realize it yet. The ambush launched at 0300 Galactic mean. 6 stealth ships. 1 Council-authorized command cruiser. 4 broadcast. Objective: vaporize Nomad 6, retrieve any debris. Stage message of deterrence. It went well for 26 seconds. We have lock, whispered Commander Nell of the lead stealth unit. Target is not responding. No shields, no movement. Permission to fire. A pause. Zale's voice came through the feed. Do it. The beam fired and missed. Because Nomad 6 wasn't there anymore. It hadn't jumped. Hadn't dodged. It had slipped. From space. From scan. From existence. Nell blinked. Where? Then her second officer screamed. They're behind us. They turned. 3 ships. Silent. Not cloaked. Just wrong. They didn't register as targets. They didn't return fire. They just hovered. A single Terran voice echoed across every ship's internal feed. Not broadcast. Internal. Don't chase ghosts. We leave those behind. Every screen glitched just for a second. When they recovered, the fleet's entire nav map was replaced. It didn't show stars. It showed recordings. Of every known war. Crime committed by each race present. In the ambush force. Labeled. Timed. Verified. Admiral Zale spat. Cut the feed, a technician replied, panicked. Sir, this isn't a feed. These files are stored locally. We've been seated. We don't just fight, the voice said again. We record. The Zorth cruiser tried to jump. It never. ARRIVED. A second later. Its coordinates blinked out from Council view. Not destroyed. Erased. Even its backup identifiers vanished from the network. Impossible, said one strategist. No one can override Council registry like that. They can, Rhesus murmured, because they never wanted to be in it to begin with. Across 6 systems, the footage of the failed ambush leaked. Not edited. Not filtered. Full. Terrn tech had silently piggybacked the attacker's own signal bursts, turned their cameras into witnesses. No human words accompanied the leak. No threats. Just one recurring phrase, embedded deep in the metadata. You asked if we'd return. You forgot. We never left. Council morale plummeted. Alliances grew uneasy. Trade corridors froze. The Kraith, Dominion once vocal critics of Earth, suddenly rerouted all traffic away from Terran space. An unspoken truth hardened. Humanity had re-entered the galaxy. And instead of demanding respect, they'd made disrespect fatal. Meanwhile, on the human side of the border, something stranger was happening. Deathworlder warships weren't advancing. They were stationing. Not in military formation, but in observation rings, patterned, silent, equidistant from major Council systems. It was like Earth had mapped the emotional pulse of the galaxy and was now watching it beat. And from each station came a transmission. Only one sentence. We don't need to conquer systems. We just need you to remember who we are. Zale wasn't done. At the Emergency War Summit, he slammed his fist into the data table. We're letting them rewrite the rules. They respond to a raid with an online information war and we roll over? Rhesus nodded. They didn't rewrite the rules. They just stopped pretending they agreed with ours. Virak growled. So what do you suggest? Surrender? Apology? No, Rhesus said. Something. Worse. Everyone looked at him, listening. Meanwhile, a lone Deathworlder ship arrived above. MJRE-Delta. Population 200,00. Council align. No war history. It hovered for 6 hours. Moved nothing. Said nothing. And then a single Terran came down in a drop pod. Unarmed. UNARMORED. Civilian. Close. She walked into the city's archive center. Walked out with a single sealed crate. Inside, records of a Council-sanctioned Massacre from 140 years ago, where a Terran envoy and her family were executed on false charges, buried, forgotten. Until Earth sent her daughter to reclaim the proof. Message was clear. We don't just want justice. We want memory. On Colony 91D, the humans who'd requested backup were now under full orbital watch by Death Worlder Command. But the soldiers on the ground? They hadn't been given new weapons. They were given records. Files, documents, playback footage. Were taught what had happened to colonies like theirs, and what would happen next if the galaxy didn't change course, because Earth wasn't just fighting for territory. It was fighting for a standard. And the Council couldn't stop it, because the war wasn't about winning anymore. It was about rewriting what victory meant. By week's end, over 120 Council outposts had voluntarily initiated contact with Terran Command. No battles. No hostilities. Just quiet messages. Are we under threat? The replies never varied. That depends. Did you forget what you did? At Council Command, Vurak sat with hands shaking. We should have wiped them out when we had the chance. Rhesus didn't argue. Just looked out the window. Terran ships glowed above a distant moon. Silent, still. Like a knife left on a table. You never had the chance, Rhesus said quietly. You just thought they were too human to become monsters. Turns out they didn't become monsters at all. They became witnesses. And now the galaxy was on trial. The Council prepares for retaliation, believing Earth will finally attack. But what they face instead is a surgical, poetic dismantling not of their fleets, but their legacy. Humanity ends the conflict not with fire, but with something far more terrifying, undeniable truth. The meeting was called Operation Firewall. A last resort. A line in the stars. Every Council Admiral, Chancellor, Warlord, and Tactical AI sat or streamed into the chamber aboard the skyborne fortress Mara Crux. The plan was simple. Strike first before the Death Worlders moved again. They've frozen half our traffic lanes. Admiral Zale barked. We've lost economic control, cultural reach, political respect. They haven't destroyed anything, Kellar replied. They're not even occupying the systems. That's worse, Zale shouted. They're not taking territory. They're taking narrative control. If they win the story, they don't need to fire a single shot. Rhesus remained seated, quiet, watching everyone argue over the edges of something much deeper. Do you even hear yourselves? He muttered. Xal turned. Speak plainly, analyst. You think we're in a military operation, Rhesus said. We're not. We're in a correction. Vurak bared his fangs. We are the law. No, Rhesus said, voice sharp as a blade. Now, we are the footnote. And the Terrans came back to finish the sentence we thought we'd erased. That same day, across 12 major council worlds, the stars blinked. Just once, like a pulse in space. Then, something arrived. Not warships, but pods. Thousands of them. Small, silent, gleaming like obsidian raindrops. They landed with precision on libraries, archives, monument plazas. And they opened. Inside each one, evidence. Raw, unfiltered, brutal, confession logs, battle footage, abandoned black site blueprints, hushed war council recordings. Everything the council had erased from public memory. Reappeared. Verified, time stamped, unhackable. On every screen, a message. This is not revenge. This is restoration. On Viren's Hollow, a high-gravity mining colony that once enslaved Terran engineers, a message carved itself into the sky. We were told you forgot. So we came to remind you. The message didn't fade. It burned, slow and red, until it etched itself into the planet's atmosphere. Pixel by pixel. Council media collapsed within 36 hours. No lie could outrun what Earth unleashed. Because Earth didn't hack. Earth didn't threaten. Earth simply released what they had always known. Across every major network, programming was replaced with the same thing. Children, Terran children, faces covered in ash, staring into cameras after their colonies fell. Each clip ended the same way, one phrase, repeated in quiet human voices. This is why we don't forget. Then Earth spoke. Not with a general. Not with a politician, but with a woman, old, wrinkled, sitting in a chair made from the hull of a Terran refugee ship that never got its escort. Her voice trembled not from fear, but memory. You thought it was over. You thought silence meant consent. But silence is just another way we learn, and now we teach. Behind her, a screen activated. Showed every time Earth asked for help and was denied. Every time Earth offered peace and was mocked. Every time Earth was called savage, then saved the ones who said it. We are not your enemies, but we are no longer your audience. From this day forward, the Death Worlder Armada is not a military branch. It is a living record, a force of memory. We don't ask you to kneel. We ask you to stop lying. The screen cut. Not with violence. With finality. Admiral Zale stood frozen before the Council's master tactical array. Where's their fleet now? Still stationed, Keller said. Unmoving. Then we strike. With what? Keller's voice cracked. We've already lost. Our people have seen the logs. Our historians are defecting. Our truth is dying. Zale's fists clenched. Then we rewrite it. Reza stood slowly. You already did, he said, and now the real authors have come back. Zale turned, snarling. Then let them write their history in blood. Reza stepped closer. They already did. On Earth, no celebration. No banners. No anthem. Just Terran. Families sitting at tables. Rebuilding. Because this wasn't a war. It was a return. Death Worlders didn't fight for conquest. They fought for balance, and the balance had finally, irrevocably, tipped. Vurrak stood at the Council's observation deck, eyes locked on the distant specks in orbit. They didn't kill us, he said. No, Reza's replied. Because they didn't need to. Vurak's voice was bitter. Why spare us? Reza's looked down, then up at the Terran fleet again. Because they knew if they told the truth loud enough, we'd destroy ourselves. And sure enough, within days, the Zorith Armada disbanded. 6 council members resigned in disgrace. 3 planetary governments voted to join Earth's new coalition of transparent memory. Not as subordinates. As equals. Under one condition: nothing forgotten. Ever again. In the silence that followed, a final message was etched into the oldest council server. No voice. No fanfare. Just words. We were built by death, forged in silence, sharpened by betrayal. And now, we are what memory becomes when no one else will carry it. And with that, the Death Worlder Armada left orbit. Slow. Quiet. Complete. They didn't need to win the war. They became the last chapter, and the galaxy? The galaxy finally understood what Earth meant when it said, we don't just come back, we finish the story. The end.